Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. And this watch is one of the most beguiling pieces launched by any brand, frankly, in the last decade. Originally debuted at the SIH back in 2018, the Cartier Révélation d'un Panther is a watch 5 years in the making, as Cartier found a way to sandwich two spaces into a single watch. There's the underlying space where the hands keep track of the time on top of a blue mother-of-pearl base, and then there is a pocket of oil and invisible channels in which 900 little gold balls will depict the image of the iconic Cartier Panther and then just as quickly vanish. Think of it as Chopard Happy Diamonds, but for a guy, although a woman can enjoy this too because it's not too large a watch. Now, this is a subsequent to 2018 limited edition of 100 pieces, and you can see that it is a rather dramatic watch despite being only 37 millimeters in diameter. So let's go over everything you get here. In yellow gold, the watch is 37 millimeters in diameter. Despite everything going on the dial side, it's only 10 millimeters thick. Lug-to-lug, it's very short at 40.2 millimeters with the 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. You have a diamond cabochon on the beaded crown. You have 44 diamonds on the bezel. And then we have another 43 diamonds in the buckle itself. So we have both diamonds and gold. We'll throw this watch on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you could see that the watch is an absolutely wild thing. This is, more than any complication, a surprise and delight timepiece that will explain without words to your skeptical friends why you love watches so much. So throwing it on the wrist, you can see it's an easy thing to wear. So short across the wrist that even a woman's wrist would wear it well, but it's not a woman's sized watch. It's not pigeonholed as a lady's timepiece. It's not quartz, and it's not teensy tiny. At 37 millimeters, it's a reasonable sized, I would even say traditionally sized dress watch. Now it's thin enough that it will slide under a cuff, and you can see being short lug to lug, even on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, I've got lots of clearance on each side. The strap is substantial. It's black, rectangular scale alligator leather. It's got a little bit of distressed grain and a gloss finish. There is some bolstering to give it volume. You can see in profile it's folded, and then it has a monotone stitch on the bottom. We have calfskin, and this uses a modern version of Louis Cartier's 1909 wristwatch folding clasp, and that was an interesting piece in its day because it was by far the first folding clasp ever designed for a wristwatch. This serves the same purpose, so when the watch is being donned or removed at bedside, you can't drop it. It creates a solid loop around your wrist. And then you can see the way this works is it doesn't actually rely on perforations in the strap. You just crimp as much or as little as you need under the buckle, and it's a friction fit snapshot system. And then once it's closed, you don't see any of the extra length, and there's no need for strap minder loops, and that's a strap minder loop. You don't have any of those here. It's a very clean look. Rolling around the case, you can see the lugs are sort of a cow horn form, so corne de vache. We have that faceted diamond, and unlike a lot of spinel or synthetic sapphire cabochon on Cartier watches, this is the real thing. That is diamond. These are diamonds. And you can see there's a little kerf under the crown, so you can more easily dig in your nail to pull it out, which is excellent thinking. You could see the hand-set girdles, or the beading, as it's called, to keep all of the gems in place. Production is slowed by the need to ensure all of these gems are identical in color, clarity, and carats all the way around, so there's no gradient from diamond to diamond. And again, you can see all of the beading done manually quite beautifully. So rolling around to the buckle, this is time-consuming stuff. Taking a look at the dial now, you can see there's a dramatic thickness here because you're actually looking at two sapphires. There's a sapphire sandwich here, though not in the omega sense, with the outer one and then the underlying one that separates all of this from the time-telling dial itself. It is a fun and instantly gratifying thing. It's not like waiting an hour for your jump hour to jump, or waiting an entire day and staying up until midnight to watch your perpetual calendar. You can literally just play with this thing over and over and over over and over again. There was a subsequent diamond-charged version of this, where the beads of gold were replaced by diamonds. That one is arguably finer from a material standpoint, but it does not work as well. If you want the best possible Révélation from a functional standpoint, this one instantly conforms to the channels inside and gives you that panther's face. You can also see the excellent chatoyancy of the blue mother of pearl underneath. It creates the impression that the dial is several inches deep, or if you're in the metric land, the rest of the world outside of these old colonies, it creates the impression that this dial is many centimeters deep. This is a limited edition, 100 pieces, mechanically powered. It's 30 meters water resistant, so splash or rain exposure only. Don't submerge it. But it uses a Piaget 430P here, doing business as Cartier 430MC. It is a manual wind mechanical movement with a 36-hour power reserve, a 3 hertz beat rate. It pivots on 18 joules, and it's a very small movement. The key factor being that, as with most Piaget manufacturer calibers, it is ultra thin. The movement's only 2.1 millimeters thick. So this watch has a lot to offer. It has gold, it has diamonds, it has mother of pearl, it has a limited edition and rarity on its size. And not only that, but it's something completely different. Cartier likes to describe itself as the master of shapes, and it is that. But if you want something more than a tank or a Santos or a tonneau or a Tortue, sometimes you want something that's just spectacular. And Cartier was perhaps misguided trying to achieve that with mega complications through the 2000s and early 2010s. Sometimes less is more. In this case, less complication and more of that for which Cartier is traditionally renowned: art design, and beautifully executed. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.